Assalamualaikum to our lecture. Muhammad Zuliana bin Zulkifli. Today, our group will present topic 7 that is resource management, material requirement planning, and manage procurement and inventory. Firstly, let me introduce myself. My name is Shafika binti Mutawwa and my matric number is AN170. I will explain a little bit about this topic. This topic is divided into three subtopics. First is resource management. Resource management is the process of planning, scheduling, and allocating resources. The resource management is important because it provides us with an overview of everyone and everything involved in our project. The second subtopic is material requirement planning (MRP). MRP is a computer-based inventory management system designed to improve productivity for business. The importance of MRP is it helps manufacturers to plan and schedule their production operation. The third subtopic is managing procurement and inventory. It is divided into two parts, that is inventory management and procurement management. Inventory management is a systematic approach to sourcing, storing, and selling inventory. The importance of inventory management is it keeps track of our inventory and offers a centralized view of stock, while procurement management enables an organization to operate in a profitable and ethical manner. The importance of procurement management is to improve the organization profitability that will reduce raw material prices and costs. Next, my group member will present more about these three subtopics.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Azira Hanim Akasha. My metric number is AN170073. I will talk about the resource management. Resource management is the aspect of project planning that focuses on the supplies used to produce a deliverable. Resource management often includes but is not limited to the cost of labor, the equipment that will be used to complete tasks, and the overall cost of materials. Resource management is an important part of the project planning phase as it includes the financial cost of the resources used as well as the proposed time frame to complete each task. As it takes people and teamwork to implement the resources secured, resource management also includes the allocation of various roles. For management, what are the management resources required for a project? Resources in a project can be work resources, material resources, and cost resources. These resources comprise the people, equipment, facility, knowledge, information for information technology, funding, or others. They are the key two factors for the completion of any project activity. People resources are very important element of any project and not easy to manage. Thus, people need some additional ways of dealing when it comes to resource management. They can be made more productive by following some key management principles. What do we get out of this? For resource management, it have to include roles and responsibility metrics, project organizational chart, and staffing management plan. Resource management plan can be for roles and responsibility, team resource management, training needs, methods, project organization charts, and recognition and rewards. For roles and responsibility, role can be as applicable on the project. Authority, what is the person allowed to do? Responsibility, what is the person expected to do? And for competencies, it is about the skill set required for the position. In team resource management, it have to include staff acquisition plan, resource calendars, staff release plan, and compliance and safety. For training needs, it identifies possible gaps on skill set of the worker. For methods, it have to be in identifications, quantification, and acquisition of resource. Project organization chart, it contains only people who works on the project and it can be organized based on their competency. And for recognition and rewards, it is for motivational tool for the workers, and criteria should be achievable.
Assalamualaikum and a very good day to everyone. My name is Sarah Nushaira binti Sazali, and today's topic will be Material Requirement Planning, also known as MRP. So these are the contents that we will be covering today in this topic. First is inputs of MRP, and second is outputs of MRP, third process of MRP, and last, advantages of MRP. But before we get into it, I would like to introduce to you what is Material Requirement Planning. Material Requirement Planning is a planning and control system for inventory, production, and scheduling. MRP converts the master schedule of production, also known as MPS, into a detailed schedule so that you can purchase raw materials and components. So basically, Material Requirements Planning is a computer-based inventory management system designed to improve productivity for businesses. Companies use material requirement planning systems to estimate quantities of raw materials and schedule their deliveries. To further understand material requirement planning, one should not only look at the customer's orders, but also must understand the nature of demands. Demands consist of two different types, which is independent demand and dependent demand. Independent demand means demand for a finished product, such as an automobile, whereas dependent demand are demand for component parts or sub-assemblies, such as tires that makes up the automobile. These demands are measured and do not have to be predicted. At any given time, a given inventory item can have both dependent and independent demands. For instance, a part can be used simultaneously as an assembly component and also sold as a service part. These demands are important because they are considered as an input of material requirement planning, so that companies can forecast just how much products they need to produce. Other inputs to the MRP includes MPS, which is an abbreviation for Master Production Scheduling. The MPS is a strategy for production, staffing, or inventory that a company creates. It is the future plan of production that involves the amount a company needs to manufacture the goods within a given period of time. It also includes cost of inventory, cost of production, details on inventories, supply, lot size, lead time, and ability for growth. Both forecast demand and customer orders feed into the master production schedule. Another vital input for preparing material requirements planning is a bill of materials, also known as BOM, or Product Structure File, which is a detailed list of the raw materials, parts, and assemblies required to construct, produce, or prepare a product or service. BOM sets out the relation between the end product, independent demand, and the components, the dependent demand, and serve as an input for the MRP. To be exact, BOM defines product structure. It states the components needed to create the parent products from level to level. When using BOM, end product specifications are extended to include the component specifications and thus the requirements of all lower level materials. And lastly, for the material requirement plannings, we have the inventory status records, which is a record that states the raw materials and the completed products that you either have on hand or have already ordered. After MRP receives the input, it generates the output. There are four main outputs for MRP. These include purchase orders, material plan, work orders, and reports. Purchase orders is the recommended purchasing schedule that includes the order you give to suppliers to send the materials. The PO includes a schedule with quantities and start and finish dates to meet the MPS. As for the material plan, this details the raw materials, assembly items, and components needed to make the end products with quantities and dates. Whereas the work orders details the work that goes into producing the end product, including which departments are responsible for what part, what materials are necessary, and what the start and end dates are. And lastly, the reports. MRP generates primary and secondary reports. The primary reports includes all three of the mentioned output before. Those that deal with production and inventory planning and control, whereas the secondary reports are those that detail things such as performance control, exception data, for example, errors or late orders, deviations, and predictions of future inventories and contracts. Next, we will be discussing about the process of the material requirements planning. The process of MRP can be concluded into three words: identify, calculate, and complete. To identify and calculate, we must look at the inputs of the MRP, which are these on the left right here. To identify the quantity requirements is to determine what quantity is on hand, on order, planned for manufacturing, or already committed to existing orders, and forecasted, which is basically done in the bill of materials and the inventory status records. On the other hand, to run the MRP calculations is to create suggestions for materials that you consider critical, expedited, and delayed, which is done in the master production scheduling. Lastly, to complete orders, they must outline the materials for the manufacturing orders, purchase orders, and other reporting requirements as integrated in their outputs as seen on the left. So, in all, we can say that the inputs right here will be used in material requirement planning to generate the outputs right here. So, you can clearly see that MRP logic uses information received either directly from customers or from the sales forecast, calculating the material required based on the dependencies of other materials, and synchronizes the flow of materials, components, and parts in a phased order system, considering the production schedule. Moving on to the last part of our topic, which is the advantages of material requirement planning. Why is MRP crucial for a business? MRP is crucial for a business because it reduces inventory level, manufacturing costs, and improve customer service, shipping performance, and reduce lead time. Companies need to manage the types and quantities of materials they purchase strategically, which means that they need to plan which products to manufacture and in what quantities, and ensure that they are able to meet current and future customer demand, all at the lowest possible cost. MRP helps companies maintain low inventory levels, and making a bad decision in any area of the production cycle will cause the company to lose money. By maintaining appropriate levels of inventory, manufacturers can better align their production with rising and falling demand. That is all for me. I hope this chapter is beneficial for you. And thank you very much for listening.
Hello everyone, my name is Changwei from 3BNF and today I would like to present about procurement and inventory management. Due to different concepts on both management, therefore I would like to separate these two topics. First is regarding procurement management. So before I proceed further, do you all know what is procurement? Procurement is actually different from the terms of purchasing. So procurement is deal with sourcing activities, negotiation and strategic selections of goods and service. Meanwhile, purchasing is the process of how goods and service are ordered. So back to our topic, procurement management. Procurement management is a management approach to optimize and manage organization spend. So it involves acquiring goods and service from company or organization, preferred vendor at a reasonable price in the quantities of the stock. These managements help to initiate a good relationship between the vendors and enhance the entire procurement process to undergo smoothly without doubtful. Next, there are two types of procurement which involve direct procurement and indirect procurement. So let me introduce a bit on these two basic procurement. The direct procurements involve the purchase of the raw material input and then it is converted into the finished goods or service. However, the indirect procurement is slightly different from the direct types as it includes MRO supplies, stand for maintenance, repair and operating supplies, capital goods and service that needs in its operations such as software, human resource, facilities and etc. As we can see in this table, there are differences from the features of qualities, frequency, values and natures with some examples. Both of these procurements can be applied in the various industry. Furthermore, I will discuss on procurement management that can be implemented in both private and public sector. So here is a diagram to differentiate both of these sectors. There are similarities amongst these two sectors which is designed to acquire goods and service, but both of them will work with different concepts. So let's see the private procurement first. The ownership of the private sectors is individual that leads and manage the corporation. The private sector is priority focused on profit-centric, which also known as company profitability. The function of this management is to stake out different suppliers to work under streamlined process, which can help to minimize the cost of the raw material. So the source fund is basically from the owner or the shareholder of the organization or company itself, and then followed by the public procurement. The ownership is fully by the government. Its priorities is social benefit. The reason for acquiring goods and service in these public sectors is to support government operations and provide public service. Meanwhile, the source of fundings used in the public procurement is mainly from student fees, taxes, grants, loans, and others. Other than that, the procurement management can be classified into two categories. That is centralized procurement and decentralized procurement. Centralized procurement will be implemented in medium or large organizations. However, decentralized procurement will only implement in small organizations because each of the departments itself from the organizations need to handle their own purchasing goods. And the centralized procurements, the purchasing of goods of entire organization will be handled by the assigned department. Furthermore, a good procurement management will involve the phase of the process as shown below. Next, we will proceed to inventory management. It is a systematic approach used by organizations to manage their flows of goods. The roles of this management is to supervise the non-capitalized asset or inventory and stock items. This is to ensuring that the records are accurate by keeping them in optimal conditions. And then the benefits of the management is to enhance the accuracy of the inventory order, save more time and money, increase efficiency and productivities of organizations to avoid insufficient amount of type of input of product. There are 4 types of inventory which include raw material items used in the manufacturing process to create finished goods, work in process, partially finished goods. Finished goods, also known as merchandise, and MRO goods is known as maintain, repair, and operating goods are used to back up and maintain the production process and infrastructures. Lastly, the inventory management strategy is based on the push and pull inventory philosophy. In the push inventory models of push strategy is the forecasting of future demands drive production scheduling and material replenish, whereas the pull model strategy is simply relies upon the abilities of the company to the customer order or request. In push strategy, the goods need to be produced sufficiently by the company to meet the forecast demands and sales to push to the customers. Perhaps forecasting on the given product is often inaccurate as it is unpredictable. So the problem arises when the goods are unmarketable, thus leading to a high carrying cost to the company. On the other hand, pull strategies can solve the problems that faced by the push strategies due to the production is produced to fulfill the customer order only. Thereby, it will be no excess inventories that need to be stocked, and the carrying cost is lower due to the actual consumption and low inventory.
Conclusion: from this subtopic, we learn about resource management, material requirement, and managing procurement and inventory. Resource management is process of planning, scheduling, and allocating resources in the best possible way. The aim is to maximize your resources efficiency. Resource management is important in managing people, money, real estate, and other related. It is important because it enables utilization planning, it makes the planning and management process more transparent, it helps you see problems before they start, and it gives you control over your project. In resource management, it consists of material requirement planning and managing procurement and inventory. Material requirement planning system allow company to attain numerous benefits that not only reduce costs but also improve the efficiency of product. Then, procurement and inventory management is important factor to lead to a success of a company because purchasing and inventory management process take the largest portion of company budget. So if it well managed, the company can obtain recognizable growth and consequently, so the ultimate development can be achieved. Lastly, every management have to play their role for the success of company because the management will become efficient. That's all from us. Thank you.